Welcome to Comm C1000 Public Speaking at College of San Mateo for the fall semester of 2025. My name is Furman Irigoyen. I'll be your professor for the semester. We're going to be going over our course syllabus together. You'll notice at the top here, you'll have my name, my contact information. Please note that my preferred method of communication is through email. It's my last name, IRIGOYEN @smccd.edu. And probably a much easier way to get a hold of me is through the email function on our Canvas class shell. The textbook we'll be using is Public Speaking, Your Pathway to Success, the 3rd edition. I can't stress this enough, is to get your textbook early. All of your quizzes are inside the textbook, so if you don't have the textbook, you will not be able to take your quizzes, which accounts about a 45% of your grade. I provide you the link to purchase your textbook, which is right here. Here you'll see that you are at the Kendall Hunt Publishing Company. You purchase your textbook. You'll also open an account so you have access to your textbook. And here you get to see a little bit of what to expect in our textbook. This is probably the most cost-effective way of purchasing the textbook. Please get the textbook early so that you can succeed in our course. You'll also notice that since it's an ebook, they have tech support for our textbook. Here's the contact information for our textbook. Please note, I am not tech support. I don't know how to set up accounts. I don't know how to help you with your technical problems with your textbook and access any of it. Please contact these guys if you need any help. Here we've got our course description and objectives. I will let you read that at your leisure. Here is how our course transfers to the CSU, UC, and our CSM general education requirements. Here you will find a list of student learning outcomes. We'll be covering all of these in all of our 16 chapters in this textbook. And of course, how could we forget the state mandated curriculum as to all the wonderful things you'll be able to do as a result of our course together. And of course, how could we forget the local editions? Our first census date is September 2nd, 2025. Let's talk about grading here. Our final grading is on a straight scale, so there's no plus or minus, and percentages are rounded down. So for example, if you get an 87.8, it is an 87%. If you get a 79.9, it's a 79%. You'll find that our participation accounts for 10%. Our first major speech of the semester is the special occasion speech, which is 10%. The speech to inform is worth 15%. And the last speech of the semester, the speech to persuade, is worth 20%. So you'll start to see that as we go on through the semester, each speech grade carries more weight. As I mentioned earlier, we'll have 16 chapter quizzes, which will account for 45% of your grade. Everything comes out of your textbook, so keep that in mind. Please note that you want to make sure you review your assignment scores promptly. Assignment scores not questioned within 3 days after the assignment scores have been awarded will be considered final. Here I highlight the speech requirements, but I have all of these requirements in greater detail in our Canvas shells as it pertains to each of our major assignments. Our quizzes are not open book. They are not open friend. Our quizzes usually account between 15 and 30 questions. They're usually true, false, multiple choice, and matching. You want to make sure you choose the best answer. Everything is based out of the textbook. Here I have a class schedule for us. Now the way to read this class schedule, week 1 of the semester, and here I got the week of, and usually all of these dates represent the Monday of the week. So you'll see that week 1 starts on August 11th, even though we're probably starting on the Thursday of that week. During that day, we'll be doing self-introductions and course overviews and that sort of thing, and it goes on and on and on. Now, I have every assignment, every quiz date in the Canvas shell already in our calendars in Canvas. So you also have that as a much more detailed reference for what you have due when. So it's up to you to stay on top of your Canvas calendar so you know what's expected. And for each one of these assignments, I have great detail as to what is expected so you know clearly as to what to do for each of these assignments. Again, I have some descriptions of each of our speeches for the semester. Again, greater detail in Canvas. We also have some Comm Lab modules, which we will complete via the Comm Lab in Building 10. And these assignments are really low-stake assignments to help you prepare and become a better public speaker, so that when we do our 3 major speeches for the semester, it is not such a daunting task. So these are kind of like your practice exercises to build you up for those assignments. In class, I'll be lecturing on the key ideas of each chapter. It's your job to read and be prepared for all parts of the chapter, which you'll be tested on your quizzes. Participation is a big deal in our class. Bear in mind, simply attending class does not mean you're participating. So in other words, we need you to be actively listening, engaging in the class. Class starts at the appointed hour and ends at the appointed hour, so we're not coming to class late, leaving early. This isn't like attending a Los Angeles Dodgers baseball game where we get to the game in the 3rd inning and then leave in the 7th inning. We need you there the whole time. Absences are considered excessive when you have missed twice the number of clock hours that the class meets during the week, and you may be dropped by the instructor. So if you're missing a lot of class, I do have that option to drop you. Here I go into what participation means, and here we're looking at voluntary participation is strongly encouraged. And we have a technology policy in our comm department. I'll let you read that at your leisure. In class, I do not want to be video or audio recorded, so please respect that as part of our classroom rules. Academic integrity is a big deal with me. So in other words, I don't want you cheating on your work. So in other words, that means referring to outside notes or your book during your tests. It's not using artificial intelligence in developing your speeches. I want to see your work. I want to help you develop those skill sets to help you become a better thinker and a better public speaker. So this is probably the first time we've ever taken a public speaking course. Let's work on developing our skill sets. So if you're caught cheating or plagiarizing anything, you may be given an F for the assignment. If this turns into a thing, I will hand this over to the college disciplinarian and they'll take care of things. This is a big hoop-de-doo in my class. There are no makeup exams and no late work will be accepted without prior approval of me. Now, I give you guys a lot of leeway when submitting work. Usually, I open an assignment on a Monday and it's usually due on a Friday. Now, if you can't get your work in between those 2 bookends, I don't know how to help you with this one. I don't take late work. We don't do makeups. Missing work results in a 0. I also have no extra credit. We have to make sure we do the job right the first time here. So again, there's no extra credit. My primary way of communicating with you is through our email. It's going to usually be through the Canvas email channel. So that's probably going to be the easiest way for us to stay connected. Here are some resources for you on campus. We have the DRC. Reasonable accommodations will be provided for eligible students with disabilities. And here I have all of their contact information for you. We also got the Comm Studies Lab, which is one of the greatest resources you will find in support of all of your communication studies courses. It's in the College Center, in the Learning Center, and we have a nice little corner over there. We have recording rooms. We have computers. You can do group work in there. You have professors that are there to help with your work. It's a great support for you guys. We also have the library, and in my opinion, the library is the heart and soul of a college or university. The librarians can help you with your research, provide excellent guidance, and they are a resource that should be used by you guys. So please consider accessing them, especially in your public speaking course here. Here we have counseling services. In Building 10, we also have personal counseling in the Wellness Center. Just know that your education extends just past our courses. Life happens, and we all need support with life's challenges. And you do have that soft landing with the Personal Counseling and Wellness Center on campus, and they are located in Building 1. Here is their contact information, and I strongly recommend accessing this support. Here is our sexual harassment policy. I will let you read that at your leisure. So that is an overview of our course syllabus. We are now going to head over to take a look at our textbook to give you a tour there, and then on to the Canvas shell. So good luck to you guys. Okay, so here we are on the textbook leg of our tour here. Public Speaking, Your Pathway to Success, the 3rd edition. Here on this tab here on says welcome, you'll see I have a little welcome letter for you. And then here you have access to the syllabus as well as your taking of a syllabus quiz. And that's all on the Welcome tab. Our next tab up here is the chapters. So we have 16 chapters. And if we were to click a chapter, you will see that each chapter has 2 pages to it. And the way to move from the first page to the second page is like through right here. That takes us to our next chapter. And that takes us to our second page of the chapter. And you'll notice that I have PowerPoint slides for each chapter, which you could download here. I also have the Chapter 4 quiz. And in order to start it, it says, your status, begin your attempt here. So all of your quizzes are on the second page of the given chapter. Each chapter has 2 pages. The first page is the content of the chapter, and the second page has your quizzes, your PowerPoints, and your flashcards. So in looking at a standard chapter content, they all run very consistent 1 through 16. So here I have the content, and you'll see all of this information here. Something I'd like you to know is that the way I wrote this textbook, it had the beginning public speaking student in mind. So in other words, I wrote this textbook that a beginning public speaking student can understand what I am talking about. Oftentimes in our textbooks, we write for other professionals in the field, failing to remember that our communication is an audience-centered activity. Towards the end of the chapter, I have a summary. The summary is a pretty detailed summary. Some criticism about my summaries is that they're too long, and I'm fine with that. Because for me, it's really important that you understand the material. In a pinch, you could read the summary and get a pretty gosh darn good grasp of the content of the chapter. And then as we move down, we can hit the next button to get to the second page of the chapter, which would be where our quiz, our PowerPoint slides, and our flashcards are. That's how a standard chapter looks. It's very consistent between chapters 1 through 16. Let me get you over to the resource tab here. This is a very important tab. The 3 main speeches that we're doing this semester are special occasion speeches, informative speeches, and persuasive speeches. And you'll learn that outlining is a huge deal in my classes. Outlining. So in this resource tab, I have a outline checklist. So when you do your outline, you have a checklist of things that you need to make sure you have. And I also have sample outlines for those particular assignments. So you'll see that in the informative speech, I have a variety of different informative speeches here, as well as an informative speech preparation outline checklist. If you were wondering what I grade when you do your speeches, I grade your outlines pretty hard. And something to remember is that if you're wondering what I look for in an outline that I grade, look at the checklist. I just immediately go down the checklist. You kind of know what I'm looking for before the assignment is even assigned. And I have a variety of speech to persuade, speeches in outline form, as well as an outline checklist. Here, just for kicks, I've got some links to some famous speeches. I do have some research and statistical databases available to you. When trying to figure out a topic, here are some links you might want to consider. Bibliographies and citing your sources correctly is a very big deal. I have a set of resources for you in generating your bibliography, and we'll learn how to do all of this good stuff in class. Here in your textbook, you can track your grade by going into your grade book, but you can also do that on Canvas. Okay, so all of the textbook and Canvas I have is integrated. And of course, a glossary of all the key terms are back here. But you'll see these key terms in your second page of the various chapters as it relates to that particular chapter. Okay, so that pretty much covers the tour of our textbook. Now we're just going to hop into Canvas and see what that looks like. All right, so here we are at our Canvas homepage for our course. You will see that I have my contact information here. Once again, my preferred method of communicating is through email. Another way through Canvas that you can contact me is over here. You have an inbox and you can email me through there, and that seems to be a pretty a seamless process of communication between us. Here you'll see that we have our link to our syllabus. And then if you want to see this video in all of its glory, again, the link will be posted right here for you. I'm going to kind of go down the menu item so you can see what's going on there. A method of communication to you is through the announcements. So through your preferences, please make sure you get those announcements because they are very important. I will be giving you, for example, a public speaking master rubric. And it's the master rubric of what I look for and what I'm going to be grading you on for your speeches. I will also going to be sending you videos like how-to videos to make your life in this class a lot easier. So be on the lookout for those, guys. Let's next move to assignments. I have participation assignments and I have assignments for your speech for special occasion here. I have assignments for your informative speech. I have assignments for your persuasive speech. And then here you got links to your quiz, but that will be taken through your textbook. So those are integrated. Down here you'll also see I've got class lectures. And all of our class lectures, 1 through 16, are all here. And they're YouTube videos with PowerPoints. And the PowerPoints that I use in the video are also available to you on that second page of your chapter in the textbook that we talked about earlier. So let me show you Comm Lab module assignment. Here what I'd like you to do is we'll go to the module 1. And I left a note up here. Please complete the Comm Lab self-reporting form after finishing your assignment. Okay, so once you get done with all of this business, I need you to come back here, click on this link, and then fill out that form so that it gets sent to the Comm Lab. So these assignments, these Comm Lab assignments are usually a 2-part process. I give very specific instructions as to what I'm looking for. If we were to click on this form, let's see what this looks like. Okay, so we clicked on this form, which takes us here. You want to verify what class you belong. So here we've got public speaking 110 class, CRN 95625. You click that, then you click the next button, and then you type in your G number, and then you want to make sure you type in your first and last name. And then here it's asking for the minutes. There's nothing scientific to it. When in doubt, round up. So in other words, something took you like maybe 35 minutes, but you weren't sure if it was 35, just put down 45 minutes or even an hour. That's fine too. I believe they want you to just put the number of minutes. So 6, the number 6 for 6 minutes, and let's say 90 for 1 hour and a half. Just plug that in. And then you type in the date on when you did this assignment. And then here they got a drop down. So for example, for many of our work, we can do speech practice session for self-evaluation. We can do that. And then we can click next, and then it'll take us to the next screen. But it's a self-explanatory form. And that way we're able to track our numbers in terms of lab use and that sort of thing. Okay, so let's go back to assignments. So when going through all of this stuff on Canvas, it's probably better that you use Google Chrome to get your work in and that sort of thing. For some reason, it just works better. And here, something I'd like you to do is click here to pair your textbook once you get your textbook to the Canvas site. And if you're in Google Chrome, which I think it's wanting you to do, you just click there, and then there's a button that says Pair Textbook. You click that, and so these the textbook and your Canvas page will be integrated correctly. I give very thorough instructions to all of your assignments. As we go through this, you will see that we have our grades where you can obviously track your grades. Remember when we talked about when grades get released, you got 3 days to look them over, and if you have questions about them, talk to me about that before the 3-day expiration date. Another thing I want you to keep an eye out on is the syllabus here. I want you to be able to see this button up here, jump to today. For some reason, it takes you to like 2020, which doesn't make any sense. But if you click to jump to today, that we've got assignments for this week and that sort of thing to take care of. Also on your calendar over here that you're able to click your class so that your assignments and things like that all pop up on your calendar. So with that, we have toured your syllabus, your textbook, and your Canvas class shell. So I want to wish you the best of luck this semester. See you in class.